grandchildren in the eyes and tell them that they will never be treated like they've got leprosy for as long as I'm still alive.
Mthokozisi Thwala was on his second day of the stand giving testimony on the goalkeeper's death on Wednesday. Now, he was one of the people in the house when the soccer star was shot dead. Now, Bongani Ntanzi, Sifiso Ntuli, Muzika Ukhulelwa, Stemba Sibia, Mthokozisi Prince Ncube and Mthokoziseni Sipozonke Mapisa have been charged with the October 2014 murder. Now, Thwala said in 2019, 2 police officers came to his home unannounced and told him they had made some arrests. They needed him to identify the arrested suspect. He said he was surprised at how the officers came to his house without notifying him, because in the past they would notify him when they were coming. I told him this was the first time that they had just arrived without notice. I asked if we could not leave the following day. They said I had made an oath that I would always be available. Thwala identified the officers who came to his house as one Buthelezi, who was a woman. The second one was a male, and his surname was Makubo. He said he drove with the officers to Johannesburg and went to what he believes was Buthelezi's office. I could tell by the pictures on the wall that we were in Buthelezi's office. She told me that some officers were fetching Dumelo and others were fetching Kelly. Instead, 2 men he had never seen before arrived around 10 p.m. He said the man took turns assaulting him and asked him why he killed Senzo Meyiwa. They just kept assaulting me and they told me I would eventually confess to what they were accusing me of. I was screaming as they assaulted me, he said. Now, Thwala said the man went a step further and tied his hands at the back together with his feet, Mzansi. Now, Judge Chifuwa Maumela had to briefly adjourn the session to give Thwala time to compose himself as he was in tears. Upon his return, Thwala went into detail of how he was tortured mercilessly. They then put this mat under my private part, and while they held me down, they took this thing that looked like a tube and they used it to suffocate me. I thought I was going to die. That continued for about 3 or 4 hours. During that time, one would sleep while one was torturing me. They then removed this mat under me, which I had peed on, which means they knew that they needed to put that mat because I would pee on myself during the torture, he said. Namzansi, he said after the ordeal was finished, he asked the police to take him to his aunt's place in Katlehong. Instead, they took him to the place where Senzo Meyiwa was shot in Force Loris, and they forced him to write a statement. But he continued and steadfast on his statement of what transpired. He said, the police officer said, "You jumped there." But he responded, "No, I jumped there." And eventually, the police officer took him to his aunt's place and later drove him back to KwaZulu-Natal. Namzansi, these gory details continue today on Thursday, where Mthokozisi Thwala continues giving his grilling statement of what transpired and how the police tortured him in an effort for him to give a statement of events that suited their narrative. Yikes, Mzansi. Mzansi, do leave your thoughts in the comment section. You know I love to hear from you, but for now, you know I will bring you the updates hot, just the way you like it.